You try the door, and I'll cover you from the back here.
Howdy folks, and welcome to the Spaghetti Theater once again for the Spaghetti Theater Review. It's not every day that you see a movie like the one I'm reviewing today. Most people would just shake their heads in confusion and leave the theater. Or you could be like me and leave the theater thinking that this is the best superhero movie that you've ever seen. And also the stupidest. I can't believe this movie was even made. Green-lighted, somebody said. And even crazier than that, it was written by Italian director Sergio Corbucci, who, a little over a decade before, also wrote and directed the very first Django movie. Meaning he created Django, which is in a completely different category than the whack fest that is SUPERSNOOPER. Yeah, it boggles my mind that you can go from making gritty spaghetti westerns like Django, then a decade later you're doing this. And the same goes for the film's star, the most beautiful man in the world, Terence Hill, aka Mario Girardi, his real name. He plays SUPERSNOOPER, who is also starring in similar gritty spaghetti westerns before switching over to cornball comedies. He even played Django in the first sequel to Django, in his hottest performance ever. Django, Prepare Coffin. I can't believe this is the same guy. Well, it's simple. Terence Hill preferred the lighthearted comedies, and Sergio Corbucci went where the profit was. And it was because of that we got the greatest superhero movie ever, SUPERSNOOPER, which is also known by the title Superfuzz. But I prefer SUPERSNOOPER, since that's what they call him in the theme song. Which is another thing, the SUPERSNOOPER theme song may be the best thing to come out of this movie, by a band called The Oceans. It's very awesome and it's very 80s. And prepare yourselves, because they play it every chance they get. You ready, Crispin number one? Crispin number one's ready. He even got his Officer Crispin hat on.
It's pretty much the entire score to the movie.
And to top it all off, it co-stars the great Ernest Borgnine as SUPERSNOOPER's partner, because they're both Italian Florida cops. Miami, I'm guessing. So let's get to it. Here it is, folks! Terence Hill in SUPERSNOOPER! Or shit. I'm gonna try to read this, but holy fuckbags, man. I am not Italian. Poliziotto Super Piu? What? Poliziotto Super Piou. I forget it. SUPERSNOOPER! Yeah, this film is known by many titles. Right after these colorful opening credits with theme song. So it all starts off at this Florida penitentiary, where SUPERSNOOPER, aka Officer Dave Speed, yeah, SUPERSNOOPER's a cop, thus the cop hat. He's seen it before. Anyway, he's sitting on death row right now. Only, according to this dubbed reporter, has survived the last 4 attempts to kill him.
Never before in the penal history of this country has a man survived 3 attempts to execute him
for the murder of his partner, the recently demoted back to Officer Ernest Borgnine.
Officer Dunlop.
AKA Willie Dunlap. But I'm just gonna call him Ernest Borgnine. So cut to SUPERSNOOPER as he rots in his prison cell and eating beans, of course. A classic Terence Hill staple. A throwback to his Trinity days. Considering this is his 14th plate.
Dave, that's the 14th plate of beans you've eaten.
That cell must smell like farts. Terence Hill characters always love beans. Bud Spencer characters too. It's their thing. Even their video game is named after them. And even though he's on death row, he doesn't seem all that worried.
By the time lunchtime rolls around, you're gonna be having dinner with hunky number one.
Since clearly his super snooper powers are preventing him from being executed. So as they march him to the electric chair, he recounts the events that led up to this predicament. Flashback time. Cut to a few days ago, I guess, where Officer Dave Speed is canoeing into this Indian reservation with an unpaid traffic ticket that he's just intent on delivering. Even though the entire area has already been evacuated since these scientists are shooting a missile loaded with plutonium into space. Who gives a shit why? They have a reason, but I don't remember and it doesn't really matter.
The Red Plutonium's mission is to test the top secret device for detecting minerals below the moon's crust.
But as Officer Dave Speed is leaving, he finds that an alligator or crocodile, I don't know which, has taken over his canoe. So he fires a shot into the air to scare it off. And by chance, hits that missile and it explodes. Kaboom! An atom bomb in the air. Oh, yeah, right. Like a bullet can travel that far and then be moving fast enough to penetrate. Oh, what the fuck? Anyway, whatever. Missile blows up, and Officer Speed is exposed to the red gamma ray-like rays that it spreads across the lands, thus giving him unexplained superpowers with seemingly no limitations, except for one stupid one. We'll get to that. So naturally, everyone, including his partner Ernest, I'll do anything for a paycheck Borgnine, assume he's dead because, yeah, that's what normally happens when a human is exposed to deadly radiation and a missile just exploded over their head.
That poor kid.
You either die or you get superpowers. Dave Speed got superpowers. Only he doesn't realize it until he tracks down Officer Ernest Borgnine to verify that he's alive.
Hey, sir!
Which shocks the hell out of recently demoted down to traffic cop Ernest Borgnine, who almost walks into a sewer hole when, just by thinking about it, Officer Dave Speed uses ESP to cover the hole. Wow. Now why didn't Superman ever do that? Too busy throwing his ass at Nog. Could have saved this guy from Superman 3. No wait, he was fine. Oh yeah, that movie was trying to break the superhero wacky meter too. So as Ernest Borgnine tries to figure out how Officer Dave Speed is even still alive.
Not even an ant could have survived in that explosion. If a man gets caught in the middle of an atomic blast, the least he can do is drop dead.
He uses his newfound superpowers to predict an oncoming elephant crossing. Yeah, a common thing in Florida, I guess. So to prove it to Borgnine, he tries to predict the next random thing to come around the corner when this traffic light turns red. And he suddenly draws a blank.
I can't.
The power to predict has gone as this herd of nuns comes around the corner instead. Something he didn't see coming for reasons we don't know.
Elephants, yes. Nuns, no.
Yet, they do explain this shit, believe it or not. So hit the Super Snooper theme song, everyone. Ow. Yeah. Fucking love this song. Serious. I love it. You don't need Crispin. Get into it. Put this on repeat all day, I would never get sick of it. You probably would though, Crispin. You seem to be getting sick of it right now. Crispin's ready to pull out his little Super Snooper gun and shoot me in the face. Then we get to see that Officer Dave Speed also has the power to relocate vehicles that are illegally parked.
Super Snooper!
Super Super! Yeah, get used to that shit.
Super Super Super!
Super Super!
Super Snooper!
You gonna do that every time he does something, movie? Takes a super shit? Super Super! But at least this guy's dumbfounded by the whole thing too. Super Super! So then cut to this robbery in progress as Borgnine and Speed arrive on the scene and then charge the door that the criminals are in. When yup, the classic, they open the door just as you're charging at it gag. So he keeps right on running across the room and right out the window. Super Super! Splat! Dead. Roll credits. This goofy ass movie is over.
Somebody better get an ambulance. That boy's gonna be hurt awful bad.
Only nope, his superpowers have saved him again. And he lands right on his feet in front of this astonished as hell guy, but not as astonished as you might want him to be.
Fantastic! Beautiful! It brings tears to my eyes to see a trick like that.
But at least it's a more useful power than predicting elephant crossings. So Speed uses his superpowers to run back up the stairs just like the Flash. Boom!
Super, super!
Then punches through the door and saves the friggin' day. As for Borgnine, well, he just assumes that Speed landed safely on the window washer scaffolding that happened to be outside that window at the time, thus explaining his survival.
Boy, somebody up there sure likes you.
Super, super. Then, to prove that his powers just have no limit, they pull this truck over. Because Dave Speed's ESP superpowers told him that there was illegal gambling going on inside. And yup, there is alright, for some strange reason. That's elaborate, guys. Just go to Vegas, or Atlantic City is closer.
Get your hands up there!
Super, super! So cut to the next day, at this football game, where Dave Speed and his girlfriend, Evelyn, who's also Borgnine's niece, I believe, they're related somehow. Also doesn't really friggin' matter. Anyway, they're there together enjoying the day. In his funny straw hat too, which means he's off duty, I guess. Then, to show his girlfriend here that he has superpowers, he pulls another random one out of his ass. The ability to make everyone in the stadium fucking disappear, so they can have some alone time.
What crowd?
Until this guy in the red shirt snaps them all back. Dave Speed then goes after this guy because he immediately recognized him as a criminal that they've been going after for a while. So he tackles his ass to the ground. No superpowers necessary here, I guess. Super, super. So cut to later. Back on the job with Borgnine, where they foil this grocery store robbery. Who the hell robs a grocery store? Is that really a thing? Why do they only rob grocery stores in movies and TV? Happened to MacGyver once. I saw it in a Dirty Harry movie. People robbing grocery stores. Go to the market basket in my local town and it's never been robbed, I don't think. 3 guys in mass robbing the local market basket? Never happened. So anyway, this thug unloads his gun on Officer Dave Speed, not knowing that he's Super Snooper, who uses his superpowers to catch all the bullets in his gun. Ping, ping, pow, 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 pee, pee, poop. Tries to shoot him in the head, and he catches it with his teeth. Ping! Yeah, they went and did that shit. Every scene has to be wackier than the last. That guy was willing to execute a cop for a loot he got at a grocery store. Come on! What a scumbag! So cut to later on, where his superpowers go to shit again. When they pull this truck over that Speed believes is carrying counterfeit money. Only when they open it, all they find is this red sheet covering a bunch of dead fish. So, oops. I guess his superpowers don't work all of the time, for some reason. And now he looks like an idiot.
All I saw in there were fish. Now, I'm not saying they weren't counterfeit fish.
Super, super! So cut to later on again. Back off duty with his girlfriend Evelyn, as he tries to tell her again that he has superpowers.
Ever since I went to Creektown and got caught in that explosion, something happened inside me.
Because I guess she forgot all about him making all the spectators at that football game disappear, just so they could make out. So, as she goes to change into her bathing suit, he uses his superpowers to walk on water and rescue these kids' ball, which he knocked out there in the first place. Just as Evelyn returns in her red bathing suit. And once he spots her, is so overwhelmed, I guess, that he loses his powers and falls into the water. His Jesus powers are gone, and he can't swim apparently. So Evelyn's forced to jump in and say, give him mouth to mouth at this weird kid's request.
Why didn't you give him mouth to mouth?
And he's fine. And this oddball child is loving it. I can't wait to grow up and make out with Terence Hill. So cut to later. Back on duty again. What a weird schedule he has. As he tries to prove to Borgnine and their captain that he does have superpowers. So he jumps out the window again. And instead of landing on his feet like before,
Super, super!
smashes right into this car beside this red thing. So his powers are gone again, and he's seriously injured this time. and rushed immediately to the hospital, where he magically heals instantly thanks to his superpowers.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Look, we took another set of x-rays of Officer Speed. The bones are completely healed. It's a miracle.
I guess. Then takes the fuck off so he can go to the fair and strut around in that funny little hat again, where he pokes around looking for a guy named Silvius.
Fantastic! Beautiful! It brings tears to my eyes to see a trick like that.
Until he gets his address and goes to the guy's home. Only the mob shows up while he's there looking for Silvius too, since he owes them money. Discover Officer Speed.
Hi.
And a wacky fight ensues. Which is very reminiscent to his They Call Me Trinity fight. He wins, of course, and locks them all up in dog cages. So cut to later on, again, as he's back on duty with Ernest Borgnine, waiting for some famous actress from the old days of Hollywood to show up.
Rosie LaBouche, you dope.
So Ernest Borgnine can ogle her, because he's like her biggest fan or some shit. And what city are they in exactly when their police card just says City Police? What city? Could be friggin' anywhere. Generic police car! Couldn't write Miami on it. So to help Borgnine out, Speed fucks with the mobsters that were sent to pick her up.
Left, right, left, right, left, right.
So Borgnine can slide in and give her a ride instead. Since, oh yeah, that actress from the old days of Hollywood cinema is also in cahoots with the mob, who the cops are currently trying to bust for counterfeiting money.
10,000 of these have been picked up in the past week.
And not just any money, $1 bills.
Who questions a lousy dollar bill anyway?
Yeah, the mob is counterfeiting $1 bills. Yep, it's either incredibly stupid or incredibly genius, folks. You be the judge.
The guy who thought this up is a genius.
So cut to later on at the dog tracks now, where Officer Speed uses his superpowers to help Borgnine out and win at gambling.
60-1!
Super, super!
But look out, the mob's there too, folks, and so is that Silvius guy looking for...
Who's a donut, wait?
How should I know?
Did he just call Borgnine Donut?
Who's a donut, wait?
How should I know?
That's the best one-word description I've ever heard given to Ernest Borgnine. Donut.
Who's a donut?
He's a cop, I know, but still, it's funny. He sorta looks like a donut too, I guess. An Italian donut. Mwah. So hit the theme song as the mob chases after Silvius in cars. And so does Dave Speed, only on foot, just like Mark Riggs times a million. So he warns off the shocked as hell mobsters and then runs over to Silvius's car.
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Just to ask him,
What do you know about my superpowers? Why do they come and go?
why his superpowers sometimes just stop working randomly. Cause this guy's the expert on that, I guess he decided.
You mean you don't know? No, if I did, I wouldn't need to talk to you.
Hey, he saw him land safely and was slightly astonished. That means he has all the answers.
Fantastic! Beautiful! It brings tears to my eyes to see a trick like that.
Plus he works at the fair. He has insight on superhero stuff. I don't know why.
He was the only person who had seen my two falls. I had a hunch he could explain what went wrong the second time.
He's a ventriloquist, really a great talent.
So, being a comic book fan, Silvius explains that whole every superhero has a weakness thing. And that his losing his power thing could be caused by anything. Even a color, like red here. As his power is shut off again, and he smashes pow right into it. Get it? No? Well, that's cause it's stupid. When Dave Speed sees the color red, he loses his superpowers. But as soon as the color red is out of his sight, his superpowers return. Like with the red light in the elephants, the red shirt at the football game, the red sheet in the fish. the red thing out the window, etc., etc. So cut to later at Speed's place, where he shows Borgnine and Evelyn how his superpowers work.
Ready, Sarge? Watch. Okay, Evelyn, now.
Okay.
I finally found out why my powers come and go. It's the color red.
Meaning that fish truck from earlier was carrying counterfeit money. The same counterfeit $1 bill operation that they've been looking for and trying to bust.
The inside of the truck was all red. That's why I couldn't see the phony bills any longer.
And now they know how they're doing it and what fish company they're using to do it.
Are you trying to tell me that the money was inside the fish?
You got it.
Only, since this is not enough evidence to bust them, Borgnine takes the hell off to find it.
You need positive proof, and I know where to get it.
So Dave Speed takes this opportunity to use his superpowers to put Evelyn in her place.
Freeze.
And pretty much force her into agreeing to marry him, since he has superpowers now.
I like them. And I think you'll grow to like them too.
And if you don't, he'll crush your little head with his superpowers pop.
And we're going to get married, whether you like it or not.
Which is not very Terence Hill of him, so he gets a slap in the face for it. So cut to later, as Borgnine dances with that has-been from his dreams, where she pries information about Super Snooper out of him, like how the color red makes his superpowers go away.
You see, he has these superpowers.
Oh, Borgnine, you horn dog. She works for the mob.
Every time he sees red, he loses his superpower.
Oh.
So cut to Speed, who confronts the mob and uses his superpower telepathy to get them to confess to everything, willingly.
I know you're pretending to be a corrupt cop because you hope I'll admit to putting out a contract on old Sylvia.
Sure, I had that no-good bum killed.
And you'll never find out that the press is set up in my fishing boat, the Barracuda, which is anchored in the Gulf.
Well, that was easy. Thanks to his newfound superpowers. So cut to the next morning, as Speed and Borgnine fly a chopper to that boat hiding the counterfeit $1 bill operation. Borgnine then swings his fat ass in and searches the boat for proof, as Speed mans the chopper, even though it seems like they should have done it the other way around. However, the ship seems to be void of people, let alone counterfeit money, until he goes below deck and discovers the whole operation inside this freezer. Reports it to Speed and has him fly back so he can guide the evidence in, I guess. Only fat chance this was a trap and the counterfeiters were here the whole time. Knock out Borgnine and lock him in that freezer. Then sink the whole damn ship.
Hello. We're sinking the Barracuda. We caught one of the cops snooping around. We're gonna leave him on board to go down with her.
So I guess Borgnine's dead? One would assume. So cut to later, where that old-timey actress convinces the police captain that Dave Speed killed Ernest Borgnine.
He's a corrupt cop, and Sergeant Dunlop found out. That's why he had to kill him.
So they arrest Dave Speed, find him guilty, and put his ass on death row. Try to kill him 4 times and fail. Sound familiar? That's because that was the beginning of the movie. We're back to the beginning. The flashback is over. That was a long flashback, wasn't it? So Dave Speed is put into the electric chair, along with these red flowers that old actress requested be sent to him, since she knows that if he sees red, his powers will go away. She's trying to kill his ass. Only nope, he pawns them off on the father here.
I want you to have those flowers for the altar in your church.
So they pull the switch, and this shit happens. I'll just show it. You have to see it to believe it. And so now free, he swims over to this fish to ask for directions to that sunken Borgnine ship. Since, yeah, his superpowers also allow him to speak fish, like the incredible Mr. Limpet. So Speed swims to the ship and finds Borgnine still frozen inside. Apparently still alive too. Logic doesn't exist, remember. So Speed chews some gum and blows a bubble that's so big and filled with helium somehow that it floats them both to the surface, out of the water, and into the air. Hit the damn theme song! As they somehow safely float away on a giant ball of bubblegum. Yep, fine folks, you saw it. I didn't film that shit. They wrote it, they filmed it. Sergio Corbucci, how much booze did you have when you were writing this shit? You don't seem like a drug guy. I picture you as an alcoholic. How did Borgnine survive frozen in a freezer in a ship at the bottom of the ocean for days, maybe even weeks, while he sat on death row? Who cares? Super! They're floating over Florida on a giant ball of bubblegum, filled with Terence Hill's breath that makes no friggin' sense. Pretty sure the wacky meter has been destroyed at this point. But there's still a little more to come, folks. So Borgnine wakes up, perfectly fine. He's been in cryogenic hibernation for the last few weeks. Only at least he's shocked as hell. So back on the ground, the mob have gotten wind of Dave Speed's great escape and have kidnapped Evelyn and are now bailing the country on this little ass plane. Along with that mob-tied Norma Desmond, just as the giant floating bubblegum ball approaches. I can't believe this is a movie. So Speed slides right off it and onto the plane. Why the hell not? Leaving a terrified Borgnine behind. He doesn't know how to steer that thing or land a giant bubblegum ball. So Speed uses his Inspector Gadget hand phone to alert the rest of the police on the ground.
Loading all cars, loading all cars.
As he takes control of the plane himself by grabbing right onto it. All thanks to his limitless and very illogical superpowers that he uses to force land the plane and then have all the mobsters arrested. And wow, he didn't lose his hat through all of that. Must be another one of his superpowers. Super! So they all praise Dave Speed as Ernest Borgnine floats in on that giant bubblegum ball and starts doing the jig. He's accepted the weirdness now.
I'm sitting on top of the world!
I mean, he played that devil horn guy in The Devil's Reign. Why the hell not?
Don't you dare!
Then he just dives off, expecting Speed to just catch him, without even seeing if he's ready for it.
You gotta get me, baby! You gotta get me!
Which he's not.
No!
So he's forced to run after him and catch him just in the nick of time, sending them both straight through the Earth's surface, leaving only a bottomless pit behind. So again, everyone just assumes that they're both dead.
He died in a valiant, vain attempt to save the life of his friend and superior officer, Sergeant William Dunlap.
Until a phone call comes in for the captain or chief here, and can you guess who it is, folks? No clue? The mayor, perhaps? Firing his ass?
Is this some kind of a sick joke?
Nope, it's Dave Speed and Ernest Borgnine calling from China, because that's where they are now. That hole took them to China. Get it? One final cherry on the overly wacky and maybe even stupid pile of whatever all this was. Super Snooper! Super Snooper!
Where are we calling from? Hawaii, Honkaka! Honkaka!
Borgnine is superhuman too, apparently.
Oh, we're fine. That is, thanks to my superpowers.
And that's it, folks. Evelyn agrees to marry Dave Speed and we cut immediately to their wedding, with a crying Borgnine as it's revealed that Evelyn has dyed her hair red. So Dave Speed can't use his superpowers when he's around her, I guess? Even he's unsure as we zoom in and this weird shit happens. Okay, fine! It's over, thank God. That theme song is burned into my memory forever now. That was Super Snooper, which leads me into my final thoughts on this wacky, dumb, ridiculous movie that I just love. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe this was the same guy that played Cat Stevens in Django. Again, I gotta point that out. It was Terence Hill's own choice though. He preferred doing wacky comedies. Same goes for Sergio Corbucci. I don't hate this movie though. It just didn't care and wanted to have a crazy good time. Logic doesn't exist at all in this universe. It wanted to have no limitations and took nothing seriously. That's why I love it. Plus you get to hear Terence Hill's real voice this time.
But then I realized something incredible, something extraordinary had happened to me.
Oh, we're fine. That is, thanks to my superpowers.
That's an Italian accent. And of course it co-stars Ernest Borgnine, who would pretty much do anything, let's be real. An interesting fact about this actress who played the actress that Borgnine was in love with, Joanne Drew. In her early career, she appeared in some now classic John Wayne westerns like Red River, and I believe She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. However, Super Snooper was her last acting credit. I mean, this was her final movie role. She retired from acting after Super Snooper. She said, yep, giant gumball, I'm done. Where else can you go when you're first starring in Howard Hawks classics? Then end up in a movie that ends with a giant floating ball of bubblegum. If this movie gave us anything, it was that song Super Snooper. What was Corbucci thinking when he wrote this? Who cares as long as it makes me a buck? Did it even get a theatrical release anywhere? Not in the US it didn't. It was sent directly to cable TV and called Super Fuzz. It didn't stand a chance against Condor Man. And with that, I'll end my look at the greatest superhero movie ever made, Super Snooper. It doesn't need to make sense. A big thanks again to all of my subscribers, and anyone who's left a comment. I do read all of them, and appreciate all of them, even the negatory ones. So adios for now, folks, and I'll see you at the theater. Ready to go, Officer Crispin?
This is the city, Spaghettiville. I'm a cop. I carry a badge. Bam, ba-dam, bam. Bam, ba-dam, bam, bam. The story you were about to see is true.
Alright, Crispin, we're going. Good night, folks.
Super Snooper!